Today, I want to talk about something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. Those of you who have followed my Facebook page and maybe even noticed in the YouTube channel, I'm something of a foodie. I don't just love to eat really good food. I truly take an interest in food. I've loved to cook since I was about 12 years old, and I love cooking. I love learning new recipes from different countries. I like trying out new recipes. Usually every year, I'll learn a recipe in the Philippines and now here. And then when I go back home, I'll cook the recipe for my mom. And usually my aunt comes over and whatever. But anyway, so I love everything about food. I love the history of it. I love knowing why certain dishes come about because the recipe or the ingredients are available in that country, or maybe during the history there was, due to economic, issues, stresses, certain foods became popular or just became the traditional food. I just love everything about food. I'm kind of like, movie critics. I like evaluating my food and okay, what do I like about it? What do I not like about it? What would I change? Just that sort of thing. And because I love food and all that, I wanted to discuss with you in a broad topic the whole issue of food when you're living as an expat living abroad. Because obviously, like for instance, in California, I thought I knew Chinese food growing up because I went to places like whatever, they got PF Chang's and they got Panda Express, that kind of thing. But obviously, when a person goes to China, they're going to have a whole different experience when it comes to Chinese food. And same thing with Mexican food. The Mexican food that you find, again, in Southern California is more of a Tex-Mex thing as opposed to, say, Southern Mexico, where the recipes are a little bit different. So what I wanted to talk about is we as expats, we travel to other countries, and one of the biggest complaints that I hear from expats is that they don't like the local food. And, there's nothing I can really do to like alleviate or fix that. All I can really say is if you don't like the local food, then you expect to have to go and pay a little bit more at the what I call the Western restaurants, where you can get the international foods that you do like, but you're going to pay a little bit more because those tend to be in the tourist areas. I've said before, I like about 80% of the Filipino food that I had during the 6 years I was in the Philippines. I love sinigang soup. I like adobo chicken. I like the barbecue that they do out on the street. I like the boneless lechon more than the big lechon. I'd rather have just the little boneless one that they do on the small rotisserie. There are certain things I do like, but as I also mentioned before, I'm not a real big health nut or anything, but I am trying to find little baby steps to improve my diet, my health, my walking, and all that. And many of the foods that I like in the Philippines are just kind of fattening. But anyway, so when it comes to diet, okay, because that's really what we're talking about. It's not so much the other foods in the other countries, but if you have a certain diet that you want to stick to for health reasons, well then it kind of becomes something that you really got to think about. Some people are complete, vegetarians, vegans, whatever they want to call themselves. And so they move to another country, and usually fruits and vegetables are pretty abundant at all the mercados and stuff. But it's a smaller, limited selection of vegetables than what they would find, again, say in California, where they import everything. Plenty of different vegetables and fruits. Plus, you got, of course, the local fruits and vegetables. But you may be used to, as a vegetarian, eating, for instance, kale. I used to use kale in my vegetable blendy smoothie type things, but I really couldn't find kale out in the Philippines. So what I did was I substituted kangkong, which is kind of like a river spinach, and you can cook it with pork and whatever, or you can just throw it raw. It's a really good dark green that you can put in salads and whatever. It's really good. I like it. So getting back to diets. Over the years, I have tried out different diets. Maybe a lot of us have. And now the first thing I want to say is I'm not here to advocate one diet as being the diet. I don't have a diet to recommend to you. On an even bigger scope, I don't think there really is like one diet that is going to apply to everybody, because not everybody has the same biology, same makeup, same genetic history. The diet that may work for a person who's working out and doing a lot of really working out and running and strenuous exercise is not the diet that's going to work for somebody that's maybe diabetic, or somebody that has a really like, for instance, a friend of mine. In fact, he was a Filipino there in California, Fernando. He was a what do you call it? Like a what do you call that? Like the muscle guys that do the competitions. He was Mr. San Diego 2 years actually, and I would see him come into work, and he'd have 2 igloos full. Just one igloo was full of like 2 complete roasted chickens. And this was his lunch, like all the time. And then the other one had all this stuff to make salad and fruits, and he'd eat up all these bananas and whatever. And and then he had the wheat protein shake and everything. So that was a massive diet that doesn't work for me because I didn't work out the way he did. So I don't believe there is one diet that applies to everybody. I just don't believe it. Now, on the other hand, there are major diet approaches, and that's what I want to do here. Again, I'm not here to push or recommend any particular diet, but I do want to look at like 4 of the major, maybe 5 major diet approaches, because many of you are going to want to continue your healthy lifestyle abroad, and you may not be able to find all the same ingredients that fit into your diet approach. Now, one of the first ones that comes to mind is the Atkins diet. It's a very controversial diet, and again, there's some pros and cons about it. From what I understand, the actual person who developed the Atkins diet, ended up dying due to heart failure, I think it was. So there's that. Another diet is the whole approach of counting calories. Okay, that's like a second diet, is where you just go through the day and you got maybe a little cheat sheet, or you got an app, and you kind of like doing a budget. You tell yourself, okay, I'm only going to allow myself this many calories per day. And okay, I just had an apple, that's this many calories. I just had some oatmeal, this many calories. I just had an ice cream, this many calories. And then when you hit your calorie limit for the day, you're supposed to stop. And I understand that, it's a matter of calories in, calories out, that whole thing. But it's to me, it's just too much hassle. I'm too lazy to be adding up this stuff, all day long. I even tried apps that, were for your budget, where you just enter in the receipt and it would organize, how much you spent on groceries, electric, rent, gas, all this. It's not complicated. It's just that it becomes such an annoyance to me. I just want to like buy my groceries, put them in my backpack, take off, put them in the fridge, just go, get to the next thing. I really don't want to sit down and constantly keep stopping. And I don't want to do the same thing with food. I don't want to, go to a restaurant and then try to figure out, well, let's see, this much of the chow mein was vegetables, that much of it was noodles, and, and got to figure out the calories. And it's just way too much hassle for me. Other people, they love detail, they love minutia, they love keeping track of that kind of stuff. I think you have to have almost like an accountant type mindset to enjoy doing that. That's not for me. Another what do you call it? Diet. I'd say a third one, or is that the fourth one? I lost track already. See, that's how bad I am with numbers. Is the keto diet. Now, I was really into the keto diet last year, and I did it while I was living in Cebu, and I have to say it was making a difference. I was thinning down. I could tell because of the way my shorts would fit. They were loosening up. My face was kind of like thinning out again and all that. Not in a bad way, but I mean I was definitely losing weight. But here's the problem that I eventually ran into is I mean, the keto diet, for those who don't know, you're essentially cutting out carbs, cutting out sugars, and you're relying on a lot of protein and butter and fat, and you're basically training your body to burn calories based on fat and not based on sugar and carbs. And it does work. It was having a good effect. And I had so many testimonies from you viewers who said, "Oh man, keto diet is the way to go." Here's the only reason I stopped was because as I did more reading, because again, I was really getting into it and I was reading up different websites and literature and watching YouTube videos about it and everything. And I just be myself. Again, I'm not saying don't do the keto diet. Again, I'm not advocating or disparaging any particular diet. I'm just telling you the process I went through in these various diets. The concern for me was, okay, I'm losing weight, but I'm basically doing everything you shouldn't do in order to take care of your heart. Building up a lot of cholesterol, putting a lot of fat in my system. 21 years of my life was spent helping to build cardiovascular angioplasty devices. And that's what it was for, is to go into the heart and spread open those heart valves because they got clogged up with fat and cholesterol. And so I did some more reading, and I got kind of concerned about the long-term effects of the keto diet, to where, again, you're just really putting a heavy strain on your body to process and deal with all of this fat. Plus, you have to take into consideration that getting fat on your liver is not a good thing. And it's kind of unavoidable when you're just kind of like sucking up more bacon grease and butter every chance you can get. So I just decided that for myself, I was going to stop the keto diet. Now, another diet, I think this is number 4, is the similar to the keto diet, but it's simply a low carb, low sugar. Now, there's not a push to eat as much butter as possible. I mean, really, in the keto diet, you put butter in your coffee. It tastes really good, though. And so in the other diet, where you're basically that's just the basic rule, is you avoid all carbs, avoid all sugars. No sodas, no pizza dough, no sandwiches, no carbs, no sugar, no candy bars, no none of that. I did that for a while, and I have to say, it did help. I did, but it was like I don't know. I guess I don't have the willpower for it. I just, I'd come across some gummy bears, or I'd come across pizza, or a chance to have some really good pasta once in a while, and and it just avoiding carbs. And then when I went to the grocery store, went to a restaurant, pretty much everything has some carb or sugar element to it. Even ketchup has sugar in it. So I just, again, I opted out of that. Now, coming to either the 5th or 6th, I forgot, I lost track. Coming to the last diet, which is now what I'm doing now, and for me anyway, I find it to be the most reasonable, and it's the intermittent fasting diet. Now, this diet really doesn't concern itself with calories or what you're eating. I mean, obviously you want to eat healthy things. You don't want to just live on Snicker bars and sodas. But your diet isn't so much the focus. It's more how much you're eating. And so, like, for instance, in my diet, I have salads, I have soups, I have lean meat. I really don't eat a whole lot of pork. I probably should eat more fish, but then I always keep thinking, well, how much mercury is in this fish and whatever. But, I eat a general diet. I have a little bit of everything. I have fruits, vegetables, grains. What else is there? Meats, proteins. Excuse me. And a little ice cream once in a while. So I have a very general diet. But the thing that I changed is simply only eating when I'm truly hungry. I'm not waiting necessarily till I'm starving, but trying to go from 3 meals and snacks throughout the day, which was my usual thing, 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus snacks in between, and I'm trying to set that aside and now go to eating just really when I'm just hungry. and not eating just because it's breakfast. And I find that I can easily go through the day on 2 meals a day. 2 meals a day, and maybe if I snack on some nuts, or I have a bowl of oatmeal, or I eat some pineapple, or I love to just eat a bunch of watermelon. Those are like healthy snacks that can just kind of get me through the day, and I can get by on 2 meals a day. And one of those meals might be soup, whether it's pho soup, or they have this, I can't even think of the name, it's something Anyways, it's got like these meatballs. This is not a bunch of rice noodles. It's more like broth, meatballs, and vegetables. So it's not like pho, which has, again, vermicelli rice noodles. This other soup that I've been eating, it's more like a meatball soup, technically, if you really want to think about it. I love that soup, and they have a spicy version and non-spicy version. So one of my meals might be soup, and then, like I said, I might snack on some watermelon, and then maybe I'll go and have a nice dinner at a restaurant or wherever. I might get a banh mi sandwich or something. And so I've been doing that for about 3 weeks, and I'll tell you what kind of a difference it's made is that 3 weeks ago, the canvas shorts that I wear, when I first came to Cambodia from California, I had gained weight, obviously, in California because of eating all the Mexican food and stuff, and so when I got here, all the way up until about 2-3 weeks ago, when I started with this sort of intermittent diet, is that I had all my cargo shorts. I could zip them up, but I had trouble buttoning the last top button, and if I did button it, I felt kind of uncomfortable. Kind of like it was just too tight. And so then I started on the intermittent, thing where I eat if I'm hungry. If I'm not hungry, I just focus on something else and keep on going. I just don't eat, Excuse me again. Give you a good example. The other day I woke up, started checking comments and messages and all that, and, started editing. Before I knew it, it was 8 p.m. Okay, from the time I woke up till 8 p.m., I hadn't eaten anything all day. I had some ice water. I always have ice water in the fridge. I think I maybe had a little bit of orange juice, but I didn't eat anything all day till 8 p.m. Then I went out and, got something to eat. And so I started doing that about 2-3 weeks ago. Now, the same cargo shorts, I went out and I had to go shopping, and I'm out at the mall, and I'm trying to inconspicuously hold my shorts up. Because even now with the buttoned, my shorts were literally going to fall to the floor. They were like 1.5 inches too loose on me. And I went to the mall to buy a belt. And so I finally did find a belt. And as soon as I paid for it, I went out the store into the hallway, found the men's room. And the first thing I did was I put that belt on because I couldn't keep my shorts on. I had actually lost that much, weight in my waist. So it is making a little bit of difference. So I'm going to continue with my version of intermittent fasting. Now, when it comes to intermittent fasting, I'm sure there's a lot of subgroups that say, oh, you got to fast this way, you got to fast that way. To me, it's like whatever works for you. Whatever you can stick with is probably the best plan. I'm into, for instance, polyphasic sleeping. That's not for everybody. I sleep when I'm really, really exhausted, and then I wake up when I feel like I'm rested. And that might mean that I will sleep like I did in Cambodia. I slept from 9 p.m. to midnight, stayed awake until 6 in the morning, took another nap, and just kept on going. That works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. There's like 3 major ways to do polyphasic sleeping, and it's just whatever works best for you. And same thing with the intermittent fasting. Some people will fast 1 day a week. 1 day a week. Every week they fast 24 hours, and that's great. And who knows, maybe I'll work myself back up to that. I used to, for 4 years in my life, this was years ago, for 4 years, I would fast 48 hours once a month. Once a month for two whole days, and then the evening, it was a little over 48 hours, I would fast for 2 days out of the month. And I can't really say it helped me lose weight because I was skinny as a rail back then anyway, because my metabolism was like really high. So I was just like, in fact, a lot of people thought I was Filipino. I was just like straight as a board. And so, anyways, some people will fast 1 day a week, or maybe 2 days a month. For me, it's more like a daily thing. It's like, well, I'll skip a meal. I'll only have 2 meals. And some days I might even just get by with one big meal. Now, I'll tell you the reason that I had an aversion to intermittent fasting at first was because I had read about, diabetes, and I'm not diabetic. I don't know why everybody keeps thinking I'm diabetic just because I like gummy bears. But I love reading about a lot of things, and one of the things I read about was diabetes. And, and with diabetics, in fact, some good friends of mine were diabetic, and some were hypoglycemic and some were hyperglycemic. And the thing that doctors will tell a diabetic patient is they want them to eat and snack all through the day. And the reason for that is because every time you eat anything, you kick up I think it's your pineal gland, kicks up the production of insulin. And you want that insulin level to be as level as possible. You don't want to go half the day and then eat a burger and spike and freak out your system. So with diabetics, they want them to snack all day long, kind of like the gorilla diet, just constantly eating a little all through the day, kind of that thing. And so when I thought about the intermittent fasting diet, I thought, well, that's going to really jack with my system and it's probably not healthy for you. But the more I thought about it, I thought, well, historically, if you want to even go back to just even the 1800s or even primitive times, people didn't sit down and eat 3 times a day. They ate when hunting was good. And then they had like a big old feast, and it's like, okay, we got to eat all this buffalo now because the rest of it, we got to hang it in the sun and dry and eat it later. But, right now it's feast time. And so, and then maybe the buffalo don't show up for a couple weeks. So, people didn't necessarily have this breakfast, lunch, dinner thing, all the time. And there was times when people just fasted. There's people who fast for religious reasons. And a lot of them are pretty thin, depending on how much they fast. But, fasting has been historically a good thing. So I thought, well, maybe fasting isn't this necessarily bad thing altogether, especially if you have basic health, what I call just basic health. You don't have any major dermatology issues, kidney issues, diabetes issues. You don't have any real issues, like me. I'm here. I'm basically in good health. And so, for a person like me, skipping some meals here and there is probably a good thing. It'll give my digestion a chance to just, take a break. I do eat oatmeal throughout the week. I'll have oatmeal 2-3 times a week. I just think it's good to have that fiber in you and all that. I drink Yakult, the probiotic. I drink like 2 or 3 of those a week. And I take my men's vitamins. They're the gummy bear vitamins. Those are really good. So I decided that's what works for me. So what I'm interested in with you is what has been your experience? What diet have you taken with you to live as an expat? And what have been the challenges with the types of foods available in order for you to stick to your diet? Or even if you're not dieting to lose weight necessarily, how have you dealt with the issue of eating local food? I mean, are you the kind of person that can enjoy local foods? Are you willing to have a wide palate? Or are you the type of person that, pretty much you got to have your schnitzel or burger or pizza, and that's, you're just really not going to deviate much from that. Okay, so again, I'm not here to push any particular diet. I'm not here to say, oh, this particular diet is really bad. Again, I don't even think there's one diet that applies to everybody. I'm just interested in this because I'm very interested in food. I have I've said so many times, I have an 80-20 approach to life. It's 80% of the time I am trying to eat something healthy. 20% of the time I am going to go out and have a pizza, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I might even have a Coke with it. but that's 20% of the time. 80% of the time I am trying to eat healthy. All right, so I'm interested in your comments. If you have a link about a diet, feel free. If it's a video, an article, whatever, pro, con. Again, I'm all for looking at all the knowledge and just making an informed decision. That's really all I really would like for people to do. Make an informed decision for yourself. Okay, see you in the comment section.